Banshee, Forge, Gambit, Jubilee, Psylocke, and Storm. Today, I'm taking a long overdue look at the Marvel Legends Uncanny X-Men 275 collection. Starting with the packaging, and we have to go all the way back to the dreaded windowless box era. Although it's two separate sets, it's one complete collection, so I'm going to be treating it as such. Box 1 has Storm, Forge, and Jubilee. Box 2 has Gambit, Banshee, and Psylocke. X-Men 275 was a wraparound cover, and if you look, you can see that complete artwork behind the characters. Full color versions of that artwork on the side, digital renders on the other, and then on the top we see this is part of their 60 years anniversary collection. The back gives us more digital renders, their accessories, and once again the backgrounds have some pretty cool comic book artwork. That said, I'm pretty happy that they got away from this. So much so that for packaging, I'm giving this set half a point. Oh, I'm sorry. These windowless boxes are so old and out of date I almost forgot to use my new scoring system. For packaging, I'm giving this set 3 points. Moving on to presentation, the guys hover between 6.25 to 6.5 depending on the length of their hair. Gambit, I'm looking at you. Storm and Psylocke are around 6, with Jubilee at 5.5. She's built off of that teen body that they used for Spider-Gwen and the various Spider-Girls. They did use the forearms that came with the original Jubilee, but Hasbro did spring for a couple of new pinless legs, a belt, and a collar. The head is the original, just without her glasses and painted better. Storm and Psylocke have been built off of Shriek. They've got new cuffs that slide over their forearms, new belts, new legs, and collar pieces. But unlike Jubilee, they have new heads, and honestly, I'm a bit conflicted. In terms of painting and sculpting, Psylocke is definitely an upgrade to the original. Seriously, the painting here is gorgeous. I'm particularly impressed by the rouge and the eyeshadow. There's also a nice wash in her hair to bring out the detail. I really hope that we get a new standard Psylocke sometime soon using this new head. Admittedly, I don't like the Storm head quite as much. It's well sculpted and painted, but I have to admit I don't really love this hair. Don't get me wrong, it's fairly accurate to the comic. It just feels less like Storm and more like a mutant Karen. I, Storm, Mistress of the Elements, demand to speak to your manager! You know, if any ex-lady was gonna be a Karen, it's probably the one that got used to being worshipped as a goddess. The funny thing is that even though Storm wears it on the cover of 275, she doesn't wear it in the comic until 277. Before that, she was rocking this one, arguably with even worse hair. Speaking of costumes, this is also the arc when Rogue and Magneto were in the Savage Land. I'm just saying they're making Kazar and Zabu. Come on, Hasbro, you know what to do. As for the guys, they're built off of the Vulcan body, but with legs from the Cyclops, which were originally used for the VHS version. That is, except for Forge. I don't have the original Forge to compare it to, but I did look up pictures, and near as I can tell, this leg is new. And that makes sense because the original was built for the Bucky cap body, so I doubt it would be compatible here. That said, with everybody else having pinless joints, Hasbro made the baffling choice of making Forge's leg pinned. To be honest, this kind of thing doesn't really normally bug me, but I definitely see it rubbing a lot of collectors the wrong way. Otherwise, just like the ladies, all the guys have new gloves and also new belts. They were all designed to go with Wolverine and honestly do a great job. Also, for those just discovering the X-Men, yes, he should be that short. The interesting thing is that while Wolverine has a belt with sculpted detail, everyone else's is just painted on. Putting them in a group and you'd never notice, but still worth pointing out, similar to Jubilee and Forge appears to have the same original head just with better painting. But again, without having him in hand, I can't be 100% sure. Banshee, of course, is all new and looks great. I'd go so far as to say this is the best representation of Strawberry Blonde I've ever seen in a figure. He's been given his open collar, as well as his glider, kite suit, cape thing, and given that they peg into holes on his sides, I'm guessing that the torso had to be reconstructed for him. This is a solid figure and really reminds me just how badly we need the green version. As for Gambit, I wasn't entirely sure at first, but his head is new as well. The hair is the giveaway. I don't think we've ever had a bad Gambit head, but hands down, this is the best one I've seen so far. That said, I still haven't taken a close look at the 97 version. And if you're caught up on the show, you'd know that would be a pretty rough review to get through. A questionable choice here and there, but otherwise an effective balance of parts both old and new. For presentation, I'm giving this collection 5 points. Moving on to posability, and everyone's head is on a ball joint and a disc swivel. They can look this far up and this far down. Fortunately, everybody either has short hair, strategically placed long hair, or no hair at all, so nothing gets in the way. Moving down, this is how high the basic male and female bodies can raise their arms, with the female body having the edge. Jubilee is a different sculpt though and can raise her arms this high. That said, she has single-jointed swivel elbow, whereas everyone else has bicep swivel and pinless double-jointed elbows. But all 6 figures have swivel hinge wrists. Moving to the middle, and the ladies have diaphragm joints, whereas the gents have ab crunches and waist swivels. They can arch back this far, but only hunch forward this far, giving the guys the obvious edge. The gals, of course, benefit from tilt, but everyone can twist. Below the big red X belt, everyone's got ball-jointed hips. The ladies have the superior kick. Well, maybe not Jubilee, but the spreads are pretty equivalent. Moving down the leg, everybody's got thigh cut, as well as pinless double-jointed knees. But whereas the boys get boot cut, everyone has ankles that can hinge and pivot. The Vulcan body has great range, and as excited as I am for the newly announced Warbird and all of her expanded articulation, for now, this is fine for me. For posability, I'm giving this collection 5 points. Though honestly, Jubilee should probably get 4. Moving on to playability, and we have got a lot of accessories to get through. Starting with Storm, and she comes pre-packed with open hands, but also has a pair of fists, as well as the lightning hands that came with a Thunderbird 2-pack. From Storm to Forge, and he comes with a trigger hand and an open one. Those are to accommodate this pretty spiffy blaster. It's cast in a marbleized gunmetal, but has some pink energy highlights, as well as painted accents. There is a peg hole on the back of his straps, but it's purely decorative because there's no peg on the gun. That said, he's got no trouble holding it. Otherwise, he too comes with a pair of fists. Banshee is pre-posed with fists, but he does have alternate open hands, and having learned their lesson with Siren, he also has an alternate screaming head. For whatever reason though, they chose to give him a different hairstyle and shave off the mutton chops. Jubilee has her signature pink shades, though thanks to that seam running across the middle, it kinda looks like a pair of bifocals. She also has an alternate bubblegum blowing head, fists, and some typical Marvel Legends energy effects that are fine in general, but we really do need some proper fireworks for her. Psylocke is preloaded with not 1 but 2 accessory holding hands. Those are for her psychic sword. It comes in 2 separate pieces and is cast in a very nice lavender plastic, and again, she can hold it in either hand. She also has an alternate karate chop hand and an alternate fist, which is perfect for her psychic knife. As you can see, it wraps around like so. Gambit comes with his tried and true battle staff. No trouble holding that. He has this other gesturing hand for when he throws his cards. Cards like this glowing Ace of Hearts. Zooming on in, it's very cleanly painted. Admittedly, it's a little loose, but he can hold it. Also, admittedly, it's a bit more snug in this hand. He does have an alternate accessory holding hand for that one, as well as this energy effect of throwing the cards. Man, he's also just burning through all of his aces, isn't he? And if all that wasn't enough, he even comes with this brown purse. What, are you waiting for something? Clearly you didn't watch my last video. It's actually a pretty cool attention to detail because looking at the cover of 275, that is something he has. But playability is more than just callbacks and accessories, it's also about how well your figures play with others. Starting with Psylocke, and she scales pretty well with the original. If you want to do a head swap, it'll fit. Just keep in mind that the skin tones do not match. Either way, like I said before, I really hope we get a new one sometime soon. Next up is Jubilee, who despite all the different parts is actually the same size as the original. If you want to swap the head, you can, but despite being the same, it's surprisingly loose on this body. And similar to Psylocke, the skin tones do not match. Fortunately, the only exposed skin on Gambit are his fingers, so he's a little bit easier to fudge. Here's the new head on the original body. Definitely an upgrade. Also looks pretty good on the retro card. Of course, those brighter colors evoke the animated series. Only issue is the neck piece is dark blue and not black. For those hoping to use this Banshee with your Giant-Size X-Men collection, and here we have Love Triangle and 97 versions of Wolverine, Sunfire and Thunderbird, Nightcrawler and Colossus, and of course, Storm. Hasbro, if you're watching, we are so close to finishing this lineup, so please just make it happen. Storm, of course, brings us to some of her iconic looks. Hope you don't mind, though, I'm not going to do any head swaps for this one. As previously mentioned, these were meant to complement the single-carded Wolverine, so here's some of them with him. Since it was his look at the time, though, and here's X-Factor Cyclops. Now, if we could only get X-Factor Jean. Since this was a Shi'ar story, though, here's how they scale with Empress Lilandra and Gladiator. For a relative scale comparison, here's some of them with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man. And as always, here's everyone with Stealth Iron Man. Aside from some limited head swap potential, there's not much you can do with these figures outside of just being a collection based on a few key issues of Uncanny X-Men, though I would argue you could fudge Forge into your main collection. Even so, if all you want is an Uncanny X-Men 275 set, then this set has everything you need. For playability, I'm giving these 2 3-packs 5 whole points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. These sets were fan channel exclusives and retail for $78 a pop. That said, as of this recording, Stormforge and Jubilee are on sale at Hasbro Pulse for only $57, with Gambit, Psylocke, and Banshee for only $49. I have no idea how long they're going to be that price, so if you like what you see, get them while you can. Factoring in that discount, and for price, I'm giving the Uncanny X-Men 275 collection 4 points, averaging to a grand total 4.4 out of 5. If you like this video, check out one of these. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.